And out front now, one senator who will question the attorney general tomorrow, Democratic Senator Jack Reed. Senator, thanks for being with me. And I want to start with the breaking news that you just heard. The Secret Service says they don't have any tapes of White House conversations to turn over. Do you think the president could have a recording that the Secret Service doesn't know about?
Well, I think if he had a recording and it exonerated him, he would have made it public very, very quickly. So I think logically it does not appear that he has the tapes. Now, he continues to maintain that, and he's the only one apparently that can demonstrate it. So I would ask him, as my colleagues on both sides of the aisle have said, please produce the tapes.
Now, if he does have a tape, obviously this would mean he could produce it or destroy it, or nobody would necessarily ever know if he chose to get rid of it, right?
Well, no. Again, it just seems so illogical. If he has an actual recording that exonerates himself and by implication discredits Mr. Comey, why would he just sit on it? I think he owes the American public, if he has the tape, the knowledge immediately, not just himself, but for the American public.
Now, one person who could, of course, shed light on some of those, the background here of the Russia situation between Comey and the president is the Attorney General, the highest-ranking Trump administration official to testify in the broad Russia probe. You're going to be asking questions of him tomorrow. What will you ask, Senator?
Well, it's, I think, important to establish why he was involved in the dismissal of Director Comey, since he had recused himself from apparently all matters related to the Russia investigation. And the president himself has indicated that he indeed based his dismissal of Comey on the Russian investigation. So the Attorney General's involvement is highly questionable, to be blunt, and I think those questions will be raised.
Now, there's also, of course, the issue that when it comes to the president, a core question is whether he obstructed justice by asking Comey to end the investigation into General Flynn. And as we now know, according to Comey's testimony, that conversation happened in the Oval Office after the president asked Sessions to leave the room. Do you think, Senator, that Sessions will answer questions about that moment and any conversations that he had with the president about firing Comey?
I think he will be asked all of those questions. Why he left the room, even though it appears that Director Comey had made it clear that it was inappropriate to have these discussions one-on-one with the president. Then, of course, I think obviously the question is, was he aware of the rationale for the firing of Comey? If that was the case, why didn't he communicate that it had something to do with the Russian investigation, and why didn't he take himself out of the loop because he's recused himself?
Do you expect that he will answer those questions, or do you think he'll claim executive privilege but still try to get credit for testifying?
I don't know, frankly. I would hope that he'd answer the questions, because the point is to clarify all this. I hope he'd be able to answer it definitively. My suspicion, based upon observing others, other members of the administration, including the Deputy Attorney General, is that they have been walked around the questions. They've said they couldn't answer. They said it wasn't appropriate, etc. They've never denied any of the suggestions that the president directed them to interfere with the investigation, but they refused to affirmatively say that. So
let me ask you this, because this will come up tomorrow. You were in the closed-door briefing with James Comey, and in that meeting he said the FBI was investigating a possible third undisclosed meeting between Sessions and a Russian official, which would of course be hugely significant because he had had prior meetings that he did not disclose. When those leaked to the press, he finally disclosed them. This would be a third and still undisclosed meeting. From what you've heard, do you think there was a third meeting?
I can't comment on anything that was said behind closed doors that would be inappropriate. There have been press reports of a possible meeting. I think those press reports might trigger questions, but I will not comment on what took place behind closed doors.
So let me ask you about the broader picture here. Ivanka Trump was on television today. She was defending her father, and here's some of what she said, Senator.
It is hard, and there's a level of viciousness that I was not expecting. I was not expecting the intensity of this experience, but this isn't supposed to be easy. I think some of the distractions and some of the ferocity was I was a little blindsided by on a personal level.
Viciousness and ferocity, the words she used. What do you think?
Well, no, first of all, you have to be sympathetic to his daughter. It's her father who is the subject of all this criticism and comment. So I think she was, her statement seems very sincere and also appropriate for her daughter. But the context going back months and months and months is President Trump did not refrain from being harsh, critical, even insulting to people. And in fact, one could argue that he's lowered significantly the level of discourse here in the United States. And now to claim that he's just an innocent victim of all this is a little bit hard to sustain.
All right, Senator Reid, thank you.
Thank you.